Hi everyone, my name is Margaux and welcome back to Media Women Worldwide. Welcome to Toronto! Year after year, the Toronto Film Festival introduces audiences to some of the industry's best films. Steve McQueen's film, Widows, is a story of strength, revenge, and resilience, highlighted by some powerful performances and commentary on society. The film screened at the festival and cast and crew gathered to shed light on the filmmaking process.
What has happened in the world that normal now passes as excellence?
I saw Widows on television in 1983, written by Linda LaPlante, and it just sort of spoke to me as a 13-year-old black boy in London. And on screen were these four women who were being sort of judged in a way that they couldn't achieve and judged by their appearance rather than their character. And at that point, I was too in a London school. My compass was, in a way, starting to be set in a direction which obviously wasn't one which I thought that wasn't my destination. And that TV show somehow, it just sort of, it gave me sort of a connection with these women that they can achieve. So it was really, it's a kind of been a personal journey. And it's been 35 years, of course. And I, of course, at 13 years old, I never had the idea that I would be a filmmaker. So to be here today with these amazing artists is, it's kind of surreal.
When did we lower our standards?
Yes. I watched the whole thing. I took notes once, and that's what I always do. I did the same thing when I adapted Gone Girl, my book. I read it one more time, and then I didn't let myself look at it again, because it's like you have to make it. It has to become its own thing. And so I watched it, took notes, and then Steve and I kind of realized that it had to be. It had to become its own thing and breathe its own thing and create new characters and what did we want to do? What did we want to make? What did we want to say about these women, about their lives, about cities and corruption and gender and race and everything and boy did we we piled a lot in, right, Steve? I mean, we could have made a mini-series at first. It was kind of like we had so much to work from and we kind of just saw where it went. He and I didn't necessarily assign roles to each other. It wasn't like Steve writes the boy parts and I write the girl parts or anything like that. We just kind of just began and started this great journey together.
We are living in an environment where people are blind. What you don't see, you don't know.
She has a sort of quiet strength, and I think where we find her at the beginning of the film, there are many things in her life that could be breaking her, like the abuse that she suffers, and the role she has to play is so stagnating, and she really doesn't have any sense of self-worth. But she, I don't believe, ever sees herself as a victim. She just sees herself as a woman who's living in these circumstances. And there's a tragedy in that, I suppose, because it is so common. But because she's thrust into these circumstances and meets these women, and I think her relationship, particularly with Veronica becomes a sort of role model, even sort of reluctantly. But she is taught sort of not in a linear way, in a sort of a cumulative way, these life experiences. And every little time she achieves something or fails and then achieves something, it's such a quiet victory for her. And I feel like many women, I hope, sort of relate to that journey.
There was a side of femininity that I guess I didn't truly respect. The kind of femininity that I would find in my own mother. It's this vulnerability, this unconditional love that's always being stomped on by society, by men, by, bad relationships, people who take people for granted. And to see women suffer most of my life growing up, just for loving unconditionally, it was painful for me to play a character like that. I was like, why do you want me to go to such an uncomfortable place, Steve?
Because you're an expert. observer.
But yeah, you know, it's definitely, it was a journey into a place that I hadn't gone before.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Something happened tonight, something bad.
I love it in my own life when I surpass expectations. I love when people underestimate me. And it's only when you're in dire circumstances that you see really what you're made of. I think that when you have it easy, I think that you can definitely wear the mask that grins and lies. So these women are absolutely catapulted together in dire circumstances, and I think it's a terrific metaphor for how change happens. Because change happens when you're forced into it, kicking and screaming. And these women are forced to take ownership of their lives. If their husbands hadn't died, Lord knows where they would be. You know, still kind of living their own dream.
It's rare that we find a film or any entertainment that allows women to work together in their own individual ways. Each one of these women has their quirk. They're all very different, and yet somehow they find connection with each other, and they help each other to take control of their individual lives. And that is the thing that was like, whoa, this is something I want to be a part of, for sure.
And that's what this movie is about. It's about the real world and what happens behind, what happens in public, what happens in private. We don't have to just look at the TV and just see our politicians, what happens in public happens in private. So it's, we're no fools. And we have to sort of, project reality on screen, because that's what art's about in some ways, and trying to transform it, trying to understand it, and trying to sort of reveal it.
Our husbands aren't coming back. We're on our own. They stole a lot of money. And now people want it from us.
He's motivated by love. The whole, a lot of Jatem's interaction with his brother is, I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't agree with what you're doing. But he acts for him. Do you know what I'm saying? He still supports him. That's unconditional. It's like, I don't know where you're going, but I'm here on that journey with you. And that's where, so then all his deeds are rooted in a truth. I think Jatem is very honest. He's not pretending to be something that he's not. I want that, and I'm willing to do anything to get that. And so I understood him. And there was a weird integrity to him. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the closing stages of seeing him, it's like he's the pride that he has for his brother. Where he doesn't even agree with where direction he's going, but I'm still like, I'm proud of you, And that's the only way to kind of lock into what he has to do, and that's just the language he uses to express that love, which is symptomatic of the society and the world that he's grown up in.
Because there's two different ways to be in this world, I think. You can either survive it or you can live in it. And I feel like we all in this movie are trying to figure out which way to go and which way the world is putting us. So for Jamal and his brother, we are from Chicago. That is our place. That is where we were placed. That is what, what we know. But at the same time, we've watched it, kind of take what it wants from us and leave us with what's left. And we want to do what they do. We want what they have. We want to make sure that not only are we heard, but we're respected and feared at the same time.
Now the best thing we have going for us is being who we are.
Why?
Because no one thinks we have the balls to pull this off.
The majority of, if not all, the wrongdoings in the world take place in silent conversations. They take place in parts of the world where the cameras don't look. So this is a conversation that's been going on between him and his father, and it's part of, I believe, excuse my grandiosity, but Jack Mulligan might have a slightly purer soul than his father. Only slightly. But thoughts sometimes, if pursued to a deep enough place, can make reality present, can create reality, can shape reality. So thought is huge. So if a man thinks he is something, because so often we are told we are things by people, including our parents, that have no idea what our essence is. We are only reflections of them or what they wish they were. And I am a reflection not of what my father hoped me to be. I am a weakness as far as my dad's concerned in this film. And it's the weakness sometimes, or what people who claim to be strong perceive as weakness, is where the seed of change lives.
Who are we when this world's got you down on your knees?
If this whole thing goes wrong, I want my kids to know that I didn't just sit there and take it. I did something.
In this city, you reap what you sow.
Let's hope so.
I think that I've already sort of achieved success. You know, you get a certain amount of money, you buy a house, you're on a TV show, which I'm at, and then you're tired. You're just tired and disillusioned. And frankly, just being honest, you're miserable a lot. And you realize that you've missed the final step, which is not success, it's significance. So how do I measure significance? I measure significance living a life bigger than myself. That's why I have a production company. When I became an actress because I saw Miss Cicely Tyson in Autobiography, Miss Jane Pittman. And she gave me permission to do it. But she also showed me a way out of poverty, of feeling invisible. And I just feel like the narratives that are created in Hollywood right now have got to become inclusive. They have got to reflect the changing world and the changing cultures. And, you know, I feel like I always have to honor, you know, that little girl who's always sitting beside me on the couch, the 8-year-old girl who's sort of excited about the 53-year-old she gets to become. So in order to satisfy, I want that little girl to be able to see images that she can attach herself to. And it gives her permission to feel like she is a part of, that she is being seen. You know, I no longer want to see a movie where the person of color gets introduced in the second scene and they're the bus driver, the social worker, the lawyer, you know, and people are saying, oh, at least they're a part of the cast. They're not a part of the main storyline, but they're there. It's not enough for them to just be there. I want them to be in the story and in the narrative.
I love you, V.
V, can I say something? Can I just say something to you? You know how you just said that Cicely Tyson gave you permission and she was it for you?
Speak on it.
You know that you were that for me, right?
Same.
You have to, you know, you truly have to understand that that's what you have done for me. Because you don't see it enough. You don't see the woman that gets to be messy, to be on screen and not have to be liked and be okay with that, to be intelligent. And that's what I knew I wanted to be able to do, but didn't ever see until you.
To support Media Women Worldwide, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will see our next video.